Welcome back to Live Vedanta, a podcast about simple living and high thinking. We're continuing our series on Bhagavad Gita 101. If you've missed previous episodes, just hop into the show notes. We have links back to episode 1 as well as the previous episode. But this week, to start growing, we need a purpose and we need to feel secure. Vivekji shares insights on what we should prioritize and how to have courage to move forward.
Hari Om and greetings from Cleveland. If you think of someone who's important in society, and then you think of people who are close to that person who's important, how did that closeness come to be? As an example, the president, whether you have raga or dvesha towards him, is an important person. Now, who gets to be the Secret Service? Is it the local police? Is it the FBI? How does one become that Secret Service? Now, if we make this more sattvic, can you visualize what did Jaya and Vijaya do to become the guards or those who facilitate Bhagavan Vishnu's work? We've all heard of Jaya and Vijaya, the gatekeepers of Vaikuntha. Jaya is an icon of one who has control over their body. And Vijaya is an icon of one who has control over their mind. So Jaya and Vijaya became the facilitators for Bhagavan Vishnu because they were disciplined in body and mind. Our course is entitled Applied Gita. Gita means song. We've heard this song enough. Now we have to follow this song. And if you follow this song, where do you think this song is going to take you other than to Bhagavan Krishna, other than to your own independently joyous nature? The focus that we're taking up this month is on evolving. Applied Gita in evolving. What is the difference between searching and seeking? What is the difference between searching and seeking? Searching is where you've lost something and you don't know where it is. Simple example of, if I have my keys when I leave this house, my house keys, and then I go to the mall and I come back and I don't have those house keys, I'm searching because they can be anywhere. The lawn, the store, on the highway. Same example, but I just go to the backyard to look at the trees and I come back. I've lost something, my keys, but now I'm seeking because I know where it is. I simply haven't found that entity yet. The power of yet. I know where it is. I just haven't found it. Evolving means going from a searcher to a seeker. A searcher and seeker both want to be happy, independently joyous. The searcher doesn't know where that independent joy is. A seeker does. They know it's not in pleasures and possessions and positions. They know it's in peace. They know peace is inside of them, which is why they're evolving from extrovert to introvert. And the shloka that we studied highlighted following the path of the sun and not of the moon. The moon is dependent. The moon is valuables. The sun is independent. The sun is values. When I focus on my standard of life rather than standard of living, there's a great simplification that takes place in my life. And I want you to associate simplification with magnification. Simplification, magnification. When matters are simpler, you can focus more, isn't it? I've seen this so tangibly with one kid versus two kids. Two kids really is 11 kids. That there's so much more complexity that comes with a second child, and you have to work harder for that magnification. And my point here is, let go of your kids. My point here is to simplify, to not be that materialistic person. It's okay to have materials, but not to be materialistic. When one is struggling, it's important to create space. As we complete our thoughts on evolving, someone who wants to evolve, that means they're struggling with complacency. And you have to create space so that you can move forward. And now we'll take up 2 more shlokas from Bhagavad Gita that focus on evolving. And next month we focus on applied Gita and deciding. We're going to chapter 13. And I'm on shloka 10. So please repeat after me. Mai chananya yogena, Mai chananya yogena, Bhaktir avyabhicharini, Bhaktir avyabhicharini, Vivikta desha sevitvam, Vivikta desha sevitvam, Aratir jana samsadi, Aratir jana samsadi. Does this sound familiar to anyone? I'll be deeply impressed if anyone can make the connection to this shloka. How many of you have been attending we originally called them the community calls, and now they've become Vedanta in Minds? How many of you attend that? See, the community call in Vedanta in Mind, that's my attempt at making the sacred secular. So I don't use words like Bhagwan, and I talk about self-development, but secretly I'm just teaching these virtues. Did you know that? Last week, or last time we had this, we focused on bhakti. And now in the next month, I'm going to focus on solitude. So it's really cool how, in my thoughts, that's keeping pace with what we're studying. None of you are as excited about this as I am. It is exciting. So, what does Bhagavan Krishna tell us? He says, Mai cha ananya yogena. One should come to me, and only me. That's the literal meaning here. Ananya bhakti. Anya means other, ananya means no other. So simplification again. In a very tactile way, what this first quarter is sharing is try to prioritize. Someone who's applying this shloka is someone who's trying to prioritize in their lives. And here, this prioritization you can describe as God, simply happiness. Who do you think Mai is? Mai is not Bhagavan Krishna with a particular form and name. He's the icon of joy. Is joy the priority in your life? Are you doing what it takes to be peaceful? Bhakti avyabhicharini. To be steady in this, to be sincere in this. Bhakti, in a practical sense is really beautifully described in Ramayana. Sri Lakshmana asks Bhagwan Rama, what is bhakti? And the answer he gives is dependence. Bhakti is dependence. Whatever you depend on, you have bhakti towards. So if someone's dependent on alcohol, they really are devoted to alcohol, no? If someone has bhakti towards being popular, in such a comprehensive way, they're always thinking about how they look and how other people perceive them. Naturally, our Creator is saying, be dependent on the Creator and not on creation. Yes? If you're dependent on creation, that's called materialism. It's complex. If you're dependent on the Creator, that's simplification. That's evolving. So dependence, to change our dependence. And now the main thought from this shloka pertaining to our journey, Vivikta Desha Sevitvam. It means finding, being in a quiet place, enjoying solitude. For someone who wants to be a better person, after you've been honest with yourself and you've simplified, you need space to think. You need time to think. What about you do you want to change? How are you going to change? In our Seva training I just shared with everyone, you can become resilient by exercising more, having better examples as in role models, and following ethics. You can develop resilience. You can also become a more creative person. And you do so by research. Reading about how people create, whether it's artists or chefs, how people come up with cool ideas. It requires thinking, and when we're by ourselves, our thoughts can be clearer. You all know that this is so important to me. Every yatra we go on, especially the ones in Bharat, we all do 18 to 30 hours of Mauna. At our youth camps, we do half a day of Mauna. In the mornings at our retreats, we have Mauna. When I was in the ashram, we had Mauna 9 hours a day for more than 2 years. It allows us to think. And relatedly, aratir jana samsadi, to not want to almost have a dislike towards being with a lot of people. Jana here doesn't mean person. You know, I take this in Shoshila. Aratir jana samsadi. Bhagwan said I should be away from you. It should be away from people who don't allow you that space and time to think, or people who will not help you grow. For a beginner, which we all are, this is to be interpreted literally to go to a place where no one else is and think about you. But as you become more advanced, even when you're around a lot of people, you're still by yourself, no? On Saturday, there's 30 of us that are going to be running the Cleveland Half Marathon. I believe there's 4,000 or 5,000 people that run. And we're all going to be running by ourselves, you know? Even though there's thousands of people around, you're still going to be running by yourself. And right after that, we begin our silence retreat. I think there's 25 people from all over the place who are going to be silent for 100 hours. And joining us is Shankarji and Sumanji, who are the trained teachers in Pittsburgh. Now, I just sent them a schedule that during contemplation with me, that they'll be free, but Shankarji has to look after Vyasa during nutrition, and Sumanji has to look after Vyasa during reflection. And I shared with them that you've been in the ashram for 2 years to live quietly and silently. Let's see if you can do this with my son. See how good I am at justifying my positioning. But I'm not asking anyone else because they may not have that training. But for both of them, it's a form of testing. So for you too, once you've learned to find your space and time to think, you're able to do it in all spaces, at all times. This is a really important shloka. And I want to share one more thought before we go to the next shloka. Once you've learned to enjoy your own company, you never depend on other people's company. Yes, do you all agree? Once you've learned to enjoy your own company. There's a song from Pearl Jam called Worldwide Suicide. I believe it's called Worldwide Suicide. And one of the lines is, I've tasted a life wasted. I'm never going to go back again. Once you've tasted a life that's wasted, in the sense that you have lots outside but very little inside, you never want to go back again, correct? And that's what's highlighted here is, once you've tasted being closer to God, to yourself, this evolution becomes quite natural. Okay, let's read together. Again, we're on chapter 13, verse 10. Mai chananya yogena bhaktir avyabhicharini vivikta desha sevitvam aratir jana samsadi. That was our third shloka on evolving, and now we are going to chapter 4. In chapter 4, we're going to a famous shloka. This is number 36. When you're by yourself, often that can be the scariest experience. Yes? So when you're really scared of your own self, remember this shloka. In our meditation in life class, I've been sharing with everyone, you're going to, when you get deeper into contemplation, you are going to get pulled back by fear. And if you're not trained in watching that fear, all of your efforts to go deeper are going to be erased slowly. In our happy hour course yesterday, I shared the raw with all of the grade ones. I said, every time you feel stress or anger, you should smile. Every time you feel stress or anger, even better is you should laugh. And even better is you should go to a mirror and smile and laugh at that person in front of you. Then all of a sudden that stress and anger is not scary. Please repeat. Api chedasi papebhyaha. Api chedasi papebhyaha. Sarvebhyah papakritamaha. Sarvebhyah papakritamaha. Sarvam jnana plaveneva. Sarvam jnana plaveneva. Vrijinam santarishyasi. Vrijinam santarishyasi. Bhagavan Krishna shares with us. Api chet asi papebhyaha. Even if you are a sinner. Even if you are a papi. What does papi mean? Someone who commits sins. Okay, what does sin mean then? What is a sin? Now you're all going to tell me what Swami Chinmayananda says. A sin is that which takes you away from your nature. So now that you know that, do you still commit sins? Has that teaching become a feeling for you? Here's what a sinner is. A sinner is someone who knows, yet doesn't live up to what they know. That's what a sinner is. They know that they should be polite. They know they should be disciplined. They know they should be forgiving, but they don't live up to that. That's what being a sinner is. Shared differently, the word satya, one of the pillars of Sanatana Dharma. We love to share ahimsa, brahmacharya, satya. Satya we tend to think of as speaking the truth because it can be validated. I say this to him, he knows I'm telling the truth or not. But that's not what satya is. That's a small portion of satya. Satya is when you don't follow your intellect. You know what you believe in. You know what your values are, but still not following them. That is what it means to be a papi. And the second quarter says, fine, I'm a sinner, but even if I'm the worst among sinners, I am the goat of all sinners. If that's who I am, then what do? That's sometimes we feel the same way. Our conscious mind will never allow us to feel that we are sinners. Conversely, we're all angels, you know? I'm a rishi. You know, when I say Rishi Shuka, Rishi Vyasa, that's really, my name is inserted in that also. That's my conscious mind. But if we connect it back to the previous shloka, where now I'm more by myself, my subconscious mind starts to enter into my conscious mind, and that's where I see the lust and the greed and the competition with my parents, my sisters, my cousins. You know, people I'm supposed to love and they're my family, but even having competition with them, it is scary. And you know what's even scarier than that? That's just the subconscious mind. Even deeper and darker than that is the unconscious mind, which we call vasanas. So this is where Gita ends. Chapter 4, Shloka 36. We suck and there's nothing we can do about it. There's still 14 more chapters that follow. There's still one more line that Bhagavan Krishna shares here. He says, Sarvam Jnana Plaveneva, which means here he's comparing our negativity, our vices, our vasanas as water, as an ocean, that knowledge will be your raft. And that's such a dynamic example. For a raft, it doesn't matter how deep or broad that water is, correct? If it's a pool that's 10 feet deep or it's an ocean that's 1,000 feet deep, that raft still serves the same function, yes? That's why this example is given. That knowledge, when what you know is clear, so you live up to that, then all that you were, you will be able to let go of, you'll be able to change. Remember, knowledge is immediate. Many times you've heard me say, tatomasi. Tat, that. Tvam, you. Asi, art. That thou art. That you are. Then how come I still feel dependently joyous? Because the mind is not tilled, is not purified for that message to be authoritative. But once the mind is prepared, when someone tells you tatvamasi, it is immediate. And examples of that is the sun rising. Does the darkness slowly go away? When I turn the lights on in this room, does the darkness slowly go away? It doesn't. It just goes away. Even though now we all have these energy efficient lights that take so long to turn on. So the examples are changing, but it's immediate. When someone calls you and says, this person was born or this person is not well, it's all immediate. And one more thought relating to this raft. This raft tends to be made up of wood. And what else is made up of wood for us? Our Guru's Padukas. When you chant Guru Stotram or Guru Paduka Stotram, the Guru's Padukas are compared to being this raft out of sadness. Now, some people think this is really cult-like teaching, no? You should worship someone's feet. Not even their feet, their footwear? This is 2019, man. We don't do that kind of stuff anymore. Coming back to the race this Saturday, if you run 13.1 miles bare feet, I don't think you would be able to. And if you did, you'd be in severe pain and probably have a serious injury for a long time. So you wear shoes. Those shoes allow you to walk on the pebbles, on the curb, on the grass, and so on, so that you're not injured, so you can reach the destination. Those padukas, this raft, are virtues. Virtues keep you balanced. Virtues like independence, generosity, and so on. So, in our organization, in Sanatana Dharma, when we have such praise and faith in the sandals of the Guru Shishya Parampara, understand what that means. Finally, Vrijinam Santarishyasi, Bhagavan Krishna shares, if everything I described about you're a sinner, you're the worst sinner, I'm sharing hypothetically that knowledge can help you come out, I'm talking to you. This last quarter, Bhagavan is personalizing this message to Prince Arjuna. Arjuna, you are not the worst sinner. So for all of us too, if we're facing our subconscious mind and we feel like, how will I ever be able to reduce my insecurity, whatever vice lives inside of us? Be inspired. Have more resolve. Here, Prince Arjuna has collapsed, and we all know that he is led to enlightenment. We are no different. We've not collapsed, and we will be led to enlightenment. Together. Api chedasi papebhyaha sarvebhyah papa krittamaha sarvam jnana plavenaiva vrijinam santarishyasi.
If you enjoyed what you heard or want to learn more, share this episode with a friend or find us online at facebook.com/cmniagara. For those on the journey of self-development, Chinmaya Mission Niagara provides a community forum for seekers to listen, reflect, and contemplate. This podcast is produced by the Young Adults of Chinmaya Mission, an international nonprofit working to transform individuals through the knowledge of Vedanta. Until next time, inspire, love, be.